Welcome to Voices of Education City, a podcast where we explore the diverse and evolving identities of students here at CMUQ and across Education City. I am Saad, and today we're diving into a particularly interesting discussion about the future of identity in the Gulf region. Specifically, we'll be looking at how young people like you, our audience, are thinking about identity in this globalized and interconnected world. And with me today, as always, is my co host, Muhammad.
That's right, Saad. Today's episode is all about microhegemonies, a concept introduced by Blomert and Varys in 2015. We will talk about how these subtle but powerful sources shape our everyday identities, especially in an educational setting like Education City, where cultures, languages, and worldviews collide.
Exactly, Muhammad. And to help us unpack these ideas, we are joined by Alisher, a first year student from Turkmenistan. Alisher will share his personal experiences navigating identity at CMUQ, particularly how he deals with the tensions between his local culture and the broader, often Western influenced expectations of this international community. Welcome, Alisher.
Welcome. Thank you for inviting for the first. Today, I'll try to respond all your questions to my best of ability.
Let's start with some basics for our listeners. Lumert and Varas define microhegemonies as the small everyday forms of power that shape how we think about ourselves and others. These aren't big, obvious forces like national policies or global movements, but rather the subtle norms, expectations, and the practices that shape our identity in everyday interactions, especially in places like Education City, where many different cultures meet. And the reason microhegemonies are so important is because they often go unnoticed. They're embedded in the way we speak, the way we dress, and the way we interact with others. So, Alicia, can you share how you felt your identity has shifted or evolved since you first arrived here? Do you think microhegemonies are influencing you in ways you didn't expect?
Um, to answer this question, when I first came here, I felt like there was a lot of pressure to adapt quickly, as all international students feel. In Turkmenistan, identity is very much about family, tradition, and our local community. But here in Qatar, it's so different. I've been surrounded by students from all over the world, from China to Mexico, and there is this unspoken expectation to fit into globalized standard of success. It's not direct, but it's everywhere, from the way people dress to how they're expected to speak and interact.
That's really interesting. Do you feel that your culture, your Turkic identity, if I may refer to it, has to take a back seat in some situations, or do you find ways to bring it into your interactions here?
I can say it's tough. For example, I've noticed that when we are in the group discussions, or presentations, there is a strong emphasis on speaking in English and using Western style arguments, as our university main campus is in the US, or references. In Turkmenistan, our approach to communication is often more formal, respectful, and focused on the community, and especially we speak Turkmen. But here, it's a lot of individualism and the personal achievements. It's subtle, but you can feel it, this micro hegemony where success is tied to how well you can adapt to these westernized norms.
That's a really good point, Aisha. Bloomert and Varys also talk about how language plays a huge role in shaping these microhegemonies. In Education City, we are all using English as the main language of communication, but not everyone speaks it with the same fluency. So, how does language impact your experience here? Do you ever feel like your voice or your ideas are less valued because of how you speak?
Absolutely. I've always been comfortable with my own native language, and but here we only speak English as it's dominant and lingua franca in Qatar and especially in the education city. And it feels like there is a higher value placed on fluency as we study in the neoliberal and the com- competitive university in the whole world. And if you don't speak English perfectly, um, it feels like you are not taken as seriously. So you have, anyways, you have like feeling of being ashamed or judged if you speak English a bit incorrectly than your peers. But no one ever says like your English is not good enough, but it's there in the way people respond to you.
So I understand you feel this existing pressure, this sort of electric environment that pressures you to maintain fluent academic English. Can you give us specific examples of when this hindered uh, maybe an interaction or a class or hindered your ability to learn? Can you give us specific examples?
For instance, last time I was in the class, so professor asked a question from all of us, so we needed to respond the question. And as all of my classmates speak good and almost perfect English, so my response was included the English which has like less formal words or not advanced English. So I felt like I felt the gazes of my course mates and the teacher, but they didn't really like directly talk to me like your English is not good, it's not appropriate, but still I understood from their looks and from their silence that my English is not good enough. So that's the moment I felt.
We've talked to different guests here on our podcast, and some of them referred to a trend that students often participate in, which is the trend of formulating and clustering in groups where with students that share your background. So, for example, Arabic students would form groups of only Arabic students, and so applies to other backgrounds. Did you see this trend happen? Were you participating in it? Has it affected your experience here at CMU? What can you tell us about this trend?
Exactly, as it's not only in CMU Qatar, it's everywhere. So people with similar or same interests find each other very quickly and form a group. So I see here like a majority of the people who are Qatari are with Qatari people, and the others, for example, Central Asians are together and they share the same language. For example, Russian, they speak only Russian. Qataris speak only Arabic, and I've notices this after coming here, and I don't think it diminishes your Arabic or Russian or anything. It's just a form of people who share the same interest, and I guess that's it.
And Alicia, do you think or do you prefer the existence of this trend in for the incoming batches or no?
Can you define the trend?
The trend where people form groups using and utilizing the same language.
That can be good, but for instance, sometimes for example, they speak. You are standing with your Arabic friends, but they start speaking Arabic, so you don't understand. So um, you kind of get distanced from them and just you don't understand anything, of course. So I think um, they can speak the language that everyone understands and everyone is comfortable speaking. I guess that's better. But for some people, they might speak the same language if everybody understands. So there is no problem. There is no like feelings of imposter. So that's okay.
That's really insightful, and what I find interesting is your reference to the syndrome. Also, it's a great example of how language itself can be a tool of micro hegemony, shaping who feels included and who feels excluded, even in a setting that's supposed to be international, inclusive, diverse, etc. What policies can you recommend to administration and executives here in CMUQ to increase inclusiveness and diversity and to eliminate this pressure and to create a safer environment to express oneself?
So, in my opinion, I think the CMU Qatar should think of implementing some activities, workshops, which are really related to cultures and traditions of different nationalities. So by that, they will connect people from different backgrounds, as CMU has very multi-diverse community. So it makes them connected to their cultures more, and it introduces the culture to different people from different places. And I guess that would help people to understand each other's culture and understand their culture even more, so they can reduce the feeling of pressure and stress, probably.
We saw that the Office of DEIB has many efforts to eliminate this pressure to create a safer environment here at CMUQ. They have clubs, workshops, they have different activities. Do you think these activities have been effective in achieving their goal, or what can they do better?
To be honest, I've just know only one event they're doing it, which is Kara Connections, which I personally participated in, and it's pretty much effective, but I cannot say fully. But yeah, you just share your opinion. Sometimes it's your friend, so it's just a casual conversation, not like exchanging ideas or different traditions. So I don't. I think they can do better um, projects or innovations in their office.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Alicia. Cara Connections anonymously signs you up with another partner, right?
Yes.
Therefore, you would have more opportunity, to gain more insight into other backgrounds than the ones you have. So this, let's say, tradition that's going on in CMUQ by the EIB office, is it really effective in you thinking that certain experiences or backgrounds influence or hinder your identity?
And also, if I may add to what Muhammad said, not to turn this into an interrogation or anything, but I believe that they have multiple international clubs, multiple activities. They host speakers every Thursday, I believe, in the student majlis. Maybe I would say the issue is with the outreach or with the publicity of these events. They're not advertising or marketing them enough to you. Do you agree that this may be the issue, not the absence of the activities?
Oh, I think yes, because I'm not pretty sure about if they have activities or no. It might be probably because they couldn't really market it, couldn't really display these activities to us. So it might be, it's not because of the absence of activities, it's probably the lack of ability to show the activities.
Alicia, thank you so much. Before we wrap up, is there any piece of advice that you would like to give to our audience, which are incoming batches to CMUQ, or any advice that you wish you had received before coming here?
My one of piece advice would be just know that there here at CMU there are a lot of people from different backgrounds, diverse, who speak different languages, who have different traditions. So that's not strange. That's just the unique culture of theirs. So respect their culture and respect your own culture and embrace it with different people from different backgrounds.
Very wise words, Alicia, and we would like to thank you for joining us. To our listeners, we hope today's conversation has given you some food for thought about your own experiences with microhegemonies. Whether here in Education City or elsewhere, identity is complex, fluid, constantly evolving, and it's important to recognize how these subtle forces play a role in shaping who we are.
That's right, partner. As always, we encourage you to reflect on your own journey and think about how microhegemonies might be influencing yourself or sense of self too. So join us next time for another episode of Voices of Education City. Until then, stay curious and stay engaged.